Hey family, how you doing? It's your brother Vladimir D's. Peace to you, peace to your home, peace to your family, peace to your community, peace to your ancestry, peace to my community, peace to my ancestry, and peace to the nation that you, I, and they are building. Peace also to the Goddic forces, to the great spirit above, the mother below. How y'all doing? This is Mtima Radi. Also want to say peace to the ancient orders of Ma'at, to Haru, to Asar, to Aset, to Hape, into the one we call Hotep. Ironically, the ancients used to spell it with an E, to Hotep. I start off many videos like this, so why the heck not? I didn't expect to record a video. I was going to wait till this weekend. But the ancestors finally got through to me. And I say finally got through to me because, I've been, people at my job, they've been sick. So I've been a little bit tired lately. There's been a lot of other things going on behind me in my personal life with friends, mostly not me, but friends. And so, a little overwhelmed with other people's stuff. Anyway, plus, and I'll be very frank with you guys on this one, the Joshua Brown thing hit me. The brother has an incredible spiritual gift and energy, which was really taken from this world and this country. He will be sorely missed, and that hurt. So there's a very powerful message which the ancestors have for us, should I say, when it comes to Joshua Brown. And I have not been getting her name right, so I'll call her what I heard the lawyer call her, Tay Jefferson. Ladies and gentlemen, we as black people, we are so pissed off and we are so fed up of our treatment. And truthfully, and I mean this, we are allowing ourselves to be manipulated so easily. We have forgotten who we are and what we can do. Excuse me. We have forgotten that we are a bunch of solution makers. We have forgotten that. See, we can say what we want to about the white man and, the white man being the devil and, we don't like the white man and what have you. But we believe the white man. We believe him. Everything he tells us. We believe him. Now, the reason why we believe him, even when they're lies, is because we are the type of people who typically learn best from our enemies. And for a long time, ancient days, we didn't have enemies. So we are working, most of us, under the assumption that we are being punished for something. I've explained that. There are problems within our community, absolutely. But here we need to understand what time it is. For the last 30, 40, 50 years, we've been operating under the assumption that everything that is happening to us is happening to us for the betterment of us in the long run. When in fact, what has been happening over the last really 100 years has been a usurpation of our right to will. Our right to will. Will which way we go. Will our nation into cohesion. Will our children to a proper placement in a society which is of our choosing. We are the Hebrews, after all. Do not ever forget that. Just because you don't know what the Hebrews are and who they are. Don't ever forget that. We are the Hebrews. We hold it in us. They usurped our right to will. What we have been fighting for since the late 1890s is the right to will. The right to be our greatest selves for the betterment of this planet. The first strike that we made towards the right to will came in the 20s when many of our communities were torn down. We said, never again, we will build better. It didn't happen, but we did try. The second strike came in the 50s. Actually, let me rewind that. It came in the late 40s. What we often call the modern civil rights movement didn't start in the 50s. It started in the 40s, and it started with black people, particularly, I won't speak about prior to the end of World War II, but after World War II ended, black folks came back home and realized that we were still being mistreated, even though we fought for this country, and we said, no, we're not taking that garbage. They had to figure out something to do about that. The third great strike for the right to will came in the late 60s into the 70s. They beat us down on that one because we wanted our culture and they wanted it to exploit it. And now we are entering the fourth great strike, and possibly even the fifth and the final great strike. That'll likely come at the end of the 20s or the beginning of the 30s, maybe even the end of the 30s. I'm hoping it doesn't take that long, but we'll see. Because that will be the final one. That'll be the big one. We are, though, warming up right now for the fourth one. Or so I see it. But we are so angry that we are not paying attention and listening. I hear many commentators, when they speak about Botham Jean, when they speak about Joshua Brown especially, Botham Jean's family has almost overturned Botham Jean's placement in black people's considering, being very sympathetic to him. But when it comes to Joshua Brown, I hear so many people talking about him and Tay Jefferson in such just angry terms. They will make statements such as, we don't need police officers. No, what we need is warriors. See, policing is a take on the warrior code. The difference between the warrior code and police officers is police officers are actually soldiers. They're soldiers. They don't have a warrior code. They have a knightly code. They have a code which is more reminiscent of those who are meant to protect royalty, the queen, the knight, not the knights, the dukes and all of that. That's the difference between a warrior and them. A warrior avoids violence at all costs until it is unavoidable. Not the same with policing. They are meant to, and look, I'm not speaking out of turn here. This is easily verifiable. This is historical. This isn't metaphysical. This is historical. Policing is a unit which was created to cow and really subjugate a community to the whims and the will of a farther away power. I mean, this is easily verifiable, but please, I encourage you to look into the history of policing. We aren't thinking beyond this pain and this anger. We aren't doing it. And because we aren't even open to thinking beyond the pain, which I get the pain, it's huge. I feel it too. But because we aren't, then we're missing some of what we should be doing and learning from this stuff. Let me give you a couple of examples, because only when the ancestors came and said, here's what we're trying to get you guys to recognize, did I really see it. Let me start with this. A couple of weeks ago, I was going through some old papers and I found some notes that I had jotted down from a Phil Valentine lecture. And Phil Valentine had said that this generation, I didn't have the date of the lecture, but I think if I remember correctly, the lecture was less than 10 years old. I believe it was might have even been less than 5. But Phil Valentine said that this generation is the generation of tactical preparation. This generation, and I hate to be very, very specific, but it really is about the young folks. They are the generation of tactical preparation. What that means, he didn't really elaborate so much. But from the things that I have been telling you about the Black Commonwealth and things like that, and other prophecies that I've seen, I think you can assume what you want to assume. We need to be prepared, and these incidents are telling us that we need to be prepared. They are prepared for what? Outside of setting up our own society, which we do need to really work on, it is also telling us what ideas are needed. Okay, so you say no policing. Great. If you had to replace policing, what would you replace it with? What would you replace it with? And why? What would be the structure of it? How would it be integrated into a state system? To a national system? Now, your mind would say, well, it wouldn't be. That's not the question. You have to prepare for both eventualities. If your plan had to be launched for a state, you need to have that plan. If your plan had to be federalized, you need to have that plan. Moreover, we have a lot to say about justice. We have a lot to say about courts. We have a lot to say about this person acting up and that person acting up and this person not doing what we want on the bench and that person not doing what we want on the bench. Well, how many of us are really thinking, one, about what the bench should really be like? You ever ask the ancestors that? I mean, most of the people who I know who are doing this, spiritual work, they do spiritual work like it has very little consequence on what we should be doing to prepare ourselves as a community. And when they do such work, it still isn't about nation building. We aren't even conscious enough to know that we have to have these plans. See, we can talk about nation building, we can talk about a society, a culture, and what have you, but most of us aren't really doing the work to build it. And the few people who are, unfortunately, have the egos the size of the white man and aren't humbling themselves in front of the ancestors in order to build the structures in their minds, which we need to build out here. Humbleness when we are doing this type of work is massively important. And when you're angry, you can't be humble because you're reacting to everything. And not only are you reacting to everything, but your motivations are stuck on retaliation. Your motivations are stuck on retaliation. You can't operate like that. I am mad that Joshua Brown was murdered. I feel hurt by that. But instead of diving deep into depression, and I'll tell you, family, that that pulled me down a little bit. You know, you see souls periodically that are taken away that you know were destined to do really great things. All they had to do was just get it together, and it looked like they were starting to get it together. Michael Brown's another one. Eric Gardner, too. Sandra Bland. Oh, she was on the beginning of doing something wonderful, man. There's many others. John Crawford is going to be the father to a revolutionary, it looked like. Spun him, that death, man. I hope that revolutionary still comes out. Tamir Rice. There's a reason they're going after these people, even if they don't know why they're going after them. We can't get stuck in retaliation. Gather your energy and move forward with it. White people aren't afraid of you being pissed and getting out there and marching. They don't give a damn about that. Their biggest fear, they've spent billions, and they're about to spend billions more to keep you from doing two things. I have to say one, but two things. Thinking strategically in a systematic way that'll benefit the community, and getting together with other black people. And they're about to spend billions more to this end. I was on a local page, Bobby Hemmett page on Facebook, and I was just looking through a bunch of stuff. And, you know, the ancestors do this with me, man. They'll just have me look through stuff, and I'll just be going through it and reading. And I came across an article, and the article was about a new black 24-hour news channel. A new black 24-hour news channel. Now, ladies and gentlemen, why would they go forward and do something like that? They've never wanted to give us much of anything that wasn't not only controlled by white people, and if you look at the investors of this thing, it's hard to find a complete list, but you can look at the investors, the ones that have leaked, and see that this is not really about us. But why would they do it? Why would they do it? You know, the Discovery Channel was owned by a black man. It was very popular. It made very quality shows. As soon as he sold it to them, the quality of the shows went downhill fast. BET, owned by a black man, at one point had the highest rated music, I don't even know what the heck to call it, music playing, 106 in Park anyway. 106 in Park, which beat TRL. I mean, just shattered it. Well, yeah, it did. It shattered it. It got to the point where, you know, white groups had TRL and black groups had 106 in Park. And then it got to the point where even some of the white groups wanted to be on 106 in Park. That's when they got rid of it. That's when AJ and Free had to go, and it's been garbage ever since. Ladies and gentlemen, the reason why they're doing this, it's very simplistic. Yes, it is control. It is mind control. They're going after the 5 largest black markets in the United States at first. Most of these markets, most of these markets, you know, they're aiming this thing towards your college educated, your quote, middle class black. Why are they doing this? I know I just said mind control, but there's something else bigger going on here, ladies and gentlemen. And this is the important part for us, especially as we start thinking strategically. Remember what Francis Cress Welsing used to always say, get your brain computer right. Big fan of that woman. She loved black people, man. That was a goddess who came to life. Look at her sometimes. Really look at her. Goddess that came to life. The reason why they're going after the black bourgeoisie is because cracks are starting to show in the black bourgeoisie. You know, back in the 70s and the late 60s, mid 60s too, you had the black middle class make a decision to pretty much splinter. And part of it went with the white people, and then part of it went with black folks. And in the 70s, you had all of that shakeout. Well, that and part of the 80s too. And those who went with the black community suffered. I mean, some of them still kept jobs and stuff, but they suffered for that. And they had to go through some hellish tribulations to stay with us. Well, now places like YouTube, Facebook, and what have you, have those who are considered the middle class blacks mingling with the lower class blacks. And middle class blacks are finding out something very interesting. Guess what it is? That all this time, these white people have been telling them stuff about lower class blacks. That just wasn't true. That just wasn't true. Not only are they finding that out, but they're also finding out that a lot of what the media is projecting about these lower class blacks just wasn't true. And, for a long time, lower class blacks were said to be some of the most stupidest creatures to walk the planet. Well, many of these middle class blacks are watching videos on YouTube put together by lower class slobs who are smarter than them and teaching them real historical stuff, which they've been able to go back and prove through their own research. I'm watching some of this happen, or I have watched some of this happen on Facebook. In the beginning, when Black Lives Matter was marching, and it was, basically a bunch of young people. I apologize, family. Give me 1 second. But it was basically a lot of young people out there, getting their heads smashed in by the cops. You had middle class black people, some of them, not all of them. And I want to be very, very, very blatant about that. Criticizing, doing a lot of criticism. And then you had a lot of these lower class blacks saying, oh, hell no, you're not going to criticize us for this. Where have you been? What have you been doing? Just making money. You haven't been teaching us anything. Shut up. And then that turned into, especially when a person like Sandra Bland was killed, because she was straight middle class. Then that turned into, they're not just killing lower class black people anymore. They're killing us all. They don't care no more. And so you started seeing a bond forming between the black middle class and the black lower class. A bond that you haven't seen form since the 1950s and 60s. Something had to be done. Something had to be done. And that is this new television station. They are not aiming it towards somewhat they're aiming it towards the first 5 biggest markets because, money. But they're also doing it because they're hoping those are their test markets. This is their test market. So you might want to get your mind wrapped around the fact that these people are coming. They're coming. They're coming. All right. We have to. There's a book, and I didn't grab it. I should have grabbed it. There's a book which is written by a white man named Noam Chomsky. It's called Manufacturing Consent. Manufacturing Consent. Get that book. If you want to really understand or begin to understand white media, get that book. All right, family. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, leave them below. You know I always love hearing from you guys. All right. I will talk with you on the next one. Peace.